from the Heart.
Hello and welcome back to Horror from the Heart. I'm Josh and welcome to episode 10. And today I wanted to talk about horror in pop culture. Now, I know over the previous 9 episodes, that's pretty much what I was talking about, was horror being in pop culture. Pop culture is anything that's popular with society and things like that. And as we see it nowadays, horror is everywhere. I mean, hell, that's one of the reasons why I have this going on right now, is because of the fact that I love horror as much as I do. And it's amazing that I can find as much stuff about horror that I can and watch as many horror movies as I want and still always find something new to watch. I've seen quite a bit of horror movies, but I can't tell you that I've seen them all. And that's what I find kind of interesting, is the fact that how horror has come into pop culture the way it has. Now, you go back into, like I said, the 50s and things like that, and that's when it started to become more and more popular. You'd go take your date out to go watch a horror movie because it was fun at the time. But as the years progressed and things, we ended up getting more and more into horror, and we made it more of a grand spectacle than what it used to be, to the point that we are nowadays where there's horror movies turned out constantly. I mean, there's tons of movies being turned out constantly, either from popular people, popular production places and popular people and things like that, to a lot of indie stuff that is out there. I mean, hell, there's a whole entire streaming channel out there just for horror, like a Shudder, is the name of it. I'm not sponsored by Shudder. If they ever want to sponsor me, hey, that'd be great, because I love your stuff. I do have a few suggestions for that little app, like user profiles, because I like to watch stuff, yet my, kid doesn't like to watch the same stuff that I've watched, or he might want to watch something I've watched, or I'm in the middle of, or something like that, and I wouldn't want to have to restart it. But anyway, getting back on the track when it comes to that, horror is everywhere, like I said. We get it in our clothing. We have it in our art on our bodies. We have it in art in our home. There's horror-themed kitchenware that is out there. You have companies out there that do horror-themed types of things just for their company. We have Halloween specials. I mean, it's not as much anymore because of the fact that we do streaming more so than we did previously. But like me growing up, you had like TGIF, and you'd watch that, and you'd have these shows that had Halloween episodes, because it was the horror episode on that kind of thing. I mean, hell, we even have haunted houses that we go to during Halloween. I mean, some of these places even do things throughout other times during the year. I mean, I've seen one for Valentine's Day where it was a horror-themed Valentine stuff, or it was Christmas and it was a haunted house type of thing for Christmas. I mean, we do that kind of stuff, even to the point that we actually have conventions for horror movies and just horror stuff in general. There's tons of them out there all across the country. I'm not sure about the world. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of places over there in the UK, but I'm not sure as far as like any other places that do horror stuff. So if you guys know of any, hey, let me know. I'd be interested to see pictures and videos and stuff like that from that. But with that, though, you get a lot of actors that like to go to that kind of stuff. You get some of the authors that like to go to that kind of stuff because of the fact that it's just people who love horror. And those conventions are great and fantastic. I remember going to the local one that's over here. It's here every single year within the great state of Texas. It's Texas Frightmare Weekend here, and it's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, I went to the very first one, and I've been to a few of them since. I don't get to go every year, sadly. But I remember one of the ones was going there, and they had a zombie walk. It was basically starting at one point and had a whole bunch of people either dressed up as zombies or as zombie hunters and walking from one area going all the way to the convention and enjoying the hell out of the convention. And going to the conventions, you can find a lot of the new stuff that's about to come out or that might be coming out. You can meet a lot of the actors that are there who play a lot of our favorite creatures or who play a lot of our favorite villains too. But it is so ingrained in us that we are desensitized to horror in our own little ways that, we still get scared in certain points, but we enjoy the hell out of it because of how it is. but it's so ingrained to us that it is a pop culture type of thing. I can go out and go pick myself up a pair of like zombie themed shoes, or if somebody wanted to, they can go get themselves horror based like jewelry and things like that too. We just have it everywhere nowadays, and it makes it amazing with the factor that we actually have it that kind of way. I really, really like the idea that we can pretty much go anywhere and find some sort of element of horror within something, someplace, somehow, some way that is ingrained in pop culture. There's tons of comic books out there that you can check out that have horror theme stuff. I mean, hell, there was a Hellraiser comic for a good while. I don't know if it's still going on. I think I collected like one of those simply because. And you have tons of other comics out there that have horror theme type of stuff. But that's because of the fact that it's been so ingrained within our pop culture that we have horror everywhere. Now, I know, again, this is going to be one of those ones where it's a little bit of a shorter episode. Simply because, it's stuff that I've covered with you guys as far as horror stuff. Now, you made it this far. This is kind of like one of those ones where I've covered the basis of where we see a lot of our horror and everything like that. And what I'm trying to do with everything here is just basically talk about horror stuff. So future episodes will have like ones where I'm talking about specific movies, or I'm talking about specific, type of books or something like that, in that kind of way, because of the fact that I want to have a discussion with you guys when it comes to this stuff. I don't want to sit here and just prattle off to you guys every single day about horror stuff. I want you guys to be included in this kind of thing, like with the comments and reaching out, via Twitter and things like that, so we can have a discussion about what we like, what we don't like, which makes for very good and interesting topics that we can talk about within our community of being, horror heads, basically. And I very much appreciate anybody who's made it to, the end of every single episode, has enjoyed this, and any of the comments that you guys have left. So with that, though, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you liked it. If you're listening to this in podcast, leave me a review, and share it with anybody that you can. You can follow me on Twitter at HorrorFTH, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Thank you again for listening.